My name's Lukey, reporting for EPWPerth.com here at Reawakening 6. It is without a doubt the biggest event on the EPW calendar. You know, the AFL has the grand final. Women's basketball probably has some girly trophy. And we have Reawakening, the biggest show of the year. What a huge night it was. It kicked off with two people fighting for the final spot in the NWA qualifying tournament. It was, of course, Damien and Slater taking on AZ Vergara. In the end, though, it was Damien Slater who had his hand raised in victory, and he scored that final spot in the NWA tournament happening November 23rd at Challenge Stadium. Tickets on sale at ticketmaster.com.au. That just comes out naturally. I can't even help it anymore. Then, of course, in action, three-way dance. It was Chris Weiss versus Mana versus Richter. A big matchup. Chris Weiss in the middle of these two guys as they just punished him. It was brutal. They beat the hell out of him. And then, out of nowhere, Chris Weiss manages to score the victory? What the hell's up with that? Finally, after 18 months, it was then time for Jack Burbank to get his hands on Brad West. Certainly a lot on the line, because if Jack Burbank was to lose, he would never be able to work for the EPW board again. Thankfully, Jack Burbank fought like there was no tomorrow and managed to pull a big upset over Brad West with the help of Brad West's own brass knucks. Knocked him out, scored the victory, and then as his first act, after being reinstated on the EPW board, he terminated the contract of Brad West.
Effective immediately, the basic pro wrestling contract of one all-star Brad West is terminated.
So hopefully that means we won't not only see Brad West again, but hopefully we won't see Vin Penn Hero too, because he's a jerk. And then the EPW tag team titles were on the line. It was a four-way tag team elimination matchup. Ferguson, Block, and Azazel were defending the titles against the European Union, which consisted of Marcus Pitanopoulos and the Don, Chase and Dan Moore, and of course, the Fighting Hellfish, FN Carnage, and Chris J. Lazarus. The first elimination we saw was Marcus Pitanopoulos cop a two-man Spanish fly from the top rope through a table. Boom, gone European Union. Then Azazel and Ferguson Block launched Chase over the top rope and through the announcer's table, and it was down to just two teams. The Fighting Hellfish and Ferguson Block and Azazel. One man from each team, both went through a table at the same time. Referee called the match a draw. That wasn't good enough for Brett Corvus and the EPW board. They determined that the match would continue. So it came down to just Ferguson Block and Azazel taking on the Fighting Hellfish. And who won? I'm finding it hard to... oh, yeah, that's right. Fighting Hellfish won. It was a huge victory. Both of them climbed up to the rafters, jumped off, and simultaneously put their opponents through tables, making them once again your EPW Tag Team Champions. Then it was time for our triple main event. First up was Spike Steele taking on Devlin Reeves in a Devlin Reeves House of Pain match. Basically, four weapons were hanging from above the ring. We had a street sign, a pair of handcuffs, a steel chair, and a steel baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. This match, to sum up in one word, brutal. These two men beat the hell out of each other. By the end, both men were busted open. Both men bleeding profusely from the head. And then Spike Steele managed to drop Devlin Reeves on top of all the weapons and hook that STF with the baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire right on the face of Devlin Reeves. And Devlin Reeves had no choice but to tap out. Then came Davis Storm and Jimmy Payne in a best 2 out of 3 falls matchup. Jimmy Payne was putting his undefeated streak at Reawakening on the line. Davis Storm was once again fighting for the chance to get back up to be a #1 contender for that title. The first pinfall went to Jimmy Payne after a huge gore. Then Davis Storm fired back and managed to pull out a rolling storm to score the second pinfall. So it came down to sudden death. Next pinfall wins.
Yeah!
And out of nowhere comes that damn Nate Dooley. And it's enough for Jimmy Payne to unfortunately pick up the victory and keep his undefeated streak at Reawakening alive. Then came the Reawakening 6 main event as Shane Hayes defended his title for the very first time against Bobby Marshall. Let me just say, these men fought like there was no tomorrow. This was the final chance in the year. Your chance to end as the EPW champion. And Bobby Marshall, the man who's come to the dance so many times and never left with a title, he wanted it so bad. These two men beat each other senseless, and just as it seemed like there was no hope for Shane Hayes, once again he pulled out a huge frog splash that was quite simply awe-inspiring. That was a little bit cheesy, but it doesn't matter because it was a huge show. It was a big night. If you weren't here, shame on you. It was Reawakening 6. It was massive. My name's Lukey, reporting for EPWPerth.com, and I hope to see you November 23rd at Challenge Stadium as we declare the first ever NWA Australian champion.